Hello and welcome. My name is Greg Bayhoff. I am a sales support specialist at the Center for Energy and Environment, or CEE, and I'm here today to talk to you about what the OneStop Efficiency Shop is and how it can help you and your customers. So let's go ahead and get started. Like I said, I am a member of the OneStop Efficiency Shop, which is the lighting rebate program here at the Center for Energy and Environment. CEE focuses on helping people and businesses become more energy efficient, which helps them save money, helps everyone save energy, and therefore helps make a stronger and more healthy environment. So that is our mission statement that you can see here. And let's go ahead and get into talking about OneStop. So you might be asking, what is the OneStop Efficiency Shop? And one of the questions you might be asking is, are you a contractor? No, we're not a contractor. We don't install or screw in or unscrew anything. We aren't out there to be competition with you. In fact, by working with us, we hope it will help you to get customers to move forward with their projects. You might be asking, are you a supplier or a vendor? No, we don't have a warehouse with any stock, and we are brand neutral. And you might be asking, do you produce or sell anything? No, we don't produce or sell anything. We're not in sales. We are only here in rebates. So then, if you're not any of those things, what are you? Well, what we are is a full-service rebate program providing substantial rebates to customers. We have lighting consultants who are there to help you out in every aspect of your project, be it from pre-planning to answering questions during the install, and also help afterwards with regards to submitting the paperwork that's going to help get you the rebates, or get your customers the rebates, I should say. Speaking of paperwork, we handle all the back-end paperwork so that you don't have to. That's something that usually is a big seller for us. People really don't like having to slog through all that paperwork, so we take care of all that for you. The long story short is that we're here to help your customers move forward with their lighting projects. All right, so next I want to talk to you a little bit about our SIP partnership. We are in partnership with Xcel Energy as one part of their conservation improvement programs. All utilities are required by law to have programs that help customers save energy rather than just finding new ways to produce energy. However, we are just in partnership with them. We are an independent third-party nonprofit, so we are not owned or operated by Xcel Energy. And as part of this partnership, we are part of a program that has helped Xcel Energy save enough energy that it has avoided having to build 11 new power plants, which would have cost them billions of dollars. OneStop alone has helped customers save millions of dollars. So you can see how important and successful of a program we've been so far. Next, we'll go over how our program figures out our rebates. Now, a lot of rebate programs that you might know about use what I call an A to B to C model. You have lamp A that's of a certain wattage, you replace it with lamp B that's of a certain wattage, and you get rebate C of a certain amount. Now, this is just an example. It's not actually, I'm not showing you any numbers from an actual rebate program like that, and it's a very straightforward model, and it has been very successful for people. We do things a little differently. We base our rebates on the amount of energy that is actually saved by doing these upgrades. So we dig into projects more so we can find all those little things that can help save even more energy. We found that we can provide substantial rebates this way, and often better than the models that I just described to you before. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go over our basic rebate rate and also tell you about the bonuses that we do also offer. But something that I do want to bring up is that we, like a lot of other rebate programs, do cap our rebates at 60% of the overall project cost. So if you're saving so much energy based on a project that it seems like we would actually be paying the customer to do the project rather than just providing a rebate, what we'll do is we'll take a look at the costs and then cap it at 60% of the overall total, like I said. And that's actually pretty common for rebate programs out there. But on to our pricing information for right now. So as you can see here, our basic rebate rate is to pay $200 per kilowatt and 10 cents per kilowatt hour saved. That takes care of most interior lighting projects, your incandescents and CFL to LED screw-ins. We do still rebate T12s. Not a lot of programs do that anymore, but we go ahead and do that for you. And also any kind of lighting redesign, removing fixtures, going ahead and gutting spaces and bringing in brand new stuff. I should mention that we also do not do new constructions. We only do retrofits. So that is something to keep in mind if you want to do some kind of a new construction. You need to look for a different program. We do provide some bonuses as well. We do pay $240 per kW and 12 cents per kWh that are saved for certain kinds of projects. We do this for our high bay conversions, which are mostly HID and incandescents being replaced by LED. And recently we started also applying this bonus for 6-lamp T8 high ballast factor high bays and also 4-lamp T5 HOs. But that's only if you replace it with a new fixture, not if you do just a straightforward relamp or anything like that. We also give out this bonus for parking ramps. Those are usually HID and incandescent to LED conversions as well. They must be on for 24/7, but we can go ahead and give a little bit extra money depending on what kind of project that you have. I also want to talk about our exterior rebates. They do those a little bit different because most exterior lights aren't on during peak demand hours for energy usage, so we don't rebate kW on those. What we actually do is we pay 12 cents per kWh saved for any exterior projects. Again, they're usually on overnight, so they're not using peak demand during the day. Now, sometimes contractors like to try and predict or figure out what our rebates are going to be beforehand, before we actually get the information back to them. And they like to try and put that in as part of their proposals to the customers, and you can certainly try and do that. But actually, we try and warn against it because there are many other variables that go into figuring what our rebates are. So it is best for you to work with us and give us the information, and we will provide you with the most accurate and most current rebate figures. So what I really want you to take away from this slide is just work with us to give you the most accurate rebate information that you can pass on to your customers. Now, one thing I need to go over, I'll try and do it quick, is the Energy Independence and Security Act of 2007, or EISAH for short. This was passed to gradually phase out old inefficient lighting like T12s or the older higher wattage incandescent lamps, and bring lighting up to date with where technology actually was. So what the Act did is it established a new baseline wattage that lamps and tubes had to run at, but provide the same quality of light and lumen output. Now, the reason that I'm bringing this up is because we're required to base our rebates using that new baseline for lamps and tubes affected by EISAH. So when you think about it like this, when President Bush signed that act into law, it's like as if by magic, every existing lamp out there has suddenly changed and began running at that new baseline. So if you're replacing some 40-watt T12s, the rebate we provide will actually be based as if those lamps were 32-watt T8s, and we can provide you with some more information about which lamps are actually affected by EISAH if you need it. So it's something to keep in mind. EISAH does not apply for exterior fluorescents, by the way, since the cold weather affects their performance, but it does apply for the incandescent lamps. So again, it's just something to kind of keep in mind, which also kind of hits home that the best course for you to take is to provide us with all the information that you can, and we will go ahead and let you know what our rebates are going to be. So the first step to take in working with us to determine if a business is eligible for our program is to find out if they are an Xcel Energy customer. And the business has to be small or medium in size, which according to Xcel Energy has a peak demand of 400 kW or less. What Xcel does is it takes a look at the energy usage history, and if at any time in the amount of history that they're looking at, that business uses over 400 kW, then the property is considered too big for our program. But there's still a lot of businesses out there that fall under that small and medium range. And you might be surprised at some of the things that we worked with. We work with warehouses, office buildings, multifamily units, apartment buildings, mostly the common areas, indoor playgrounds, parking ramps. Obviously, I talked about the bonus, and a lot of other ones. And yes, I did say indoor playgrounds. So just because a business might not seem to be a good candidate, your best bet is to run it past us anyway, and we'll let you know whether or not it qualifies. So let me go over what information we need to get from you in order to qualify a property for OneStop. So what we need to do is get the business name, the installation address along with any suite numbers if there are any, And if you can possibly get it to us, it would be great if we could get the premise number. Premise numbers are the gold standard of information to give us to help us turn around qualifications the fastest, sometimes in 24 hours or less. Premise number will always be a 9-digit number in the electricity service details on the customer's bill. Currently, they all start with 302, 303, 304. The reason this works so well is that all properties have a premise number, and it stays with the property. Sometimes businesses close, or they change names, or even addresses change. So it can be hard for Excel to find them in their database sometimes, but the premise number stays with a property regardless of what happens with it. So that is the best thing to get us if you possibly can. Okay, so you've given us the address information. We heard back from Excel. They said, yes, they do qualify for OneStop, and that's great. So what happens next? Well, we'll need to get some information from you in the form of an audit about the project itself. All right, so this is a short video that you can find on YouTube. We can provide you with a link for it about how to fill out one of the audit sheets that our lighting consultants use when they go out and perform audits themselves. You aren't required to use this sheet, but if you'd like to, we can provide you a link for a Word document that you can go ahead and download, and you can fill it out, save it to your hard drive, and then send that back to us, or you can print off a version, scan it, and then you can go ahead and email that back to us. Regardless of whatever format you use for your audit, the information that you're going to hear about in this video is exactly what we need from you in order to run a rebate report that you can send back to your customers. In this training, we'll learn to properly fill out a OneStop Efficiency Shop audit sheet. First, we'll begin by filling out the property information. The project name usually contains the name of the customer's company. The address must be where the installation is being done. Finally, please provide a contact name for the customer. I've added a phone number and email address to speed things up a bit. If we provided rebates for the customer before, and you have the CEE ID number, please provide that to speed up the process. Next, we need to fill out the project information. First, enter in the area name and identify if this area is interior or exterior. Next, provide the hours of operation and the number of fixtures. Now we need to know about the existing lights, such as the number of lamps per fixture, wattage, and type or shape of lamp. Once that is complete, we need to know about the new lights. We'll need the exact type of information as was entered for the existing fixtures. In this example, we are using LED T8 tubes, which means we'll need a little more information about the installation. We need to know if the new tube is a bypass or ballast compatible tube, or if it's a different kind of technology and not a factor. For this training, we're going to say it's a bypass tube. If you have any other information about the new lights, please use the notes section. I've gone ahead and entered in a few other areas and projects. I'll use the exterior area to point out that we can work with several different ways of providing the hours of operation. Now, let's take a look at entering the project pricing information. Here, you can enter the labor costs, material, recycling, and taxes if you're applying them. And finally, provide the total project cost. If you only want to provide the overall project cost, you can leave everything else blank and just enter the total. A properly filled out audit is the best and fastest way to get rebate information for your customers. Thank you for participating in this training. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed that little break. So just to recap real quick, the things that we need from you are area names, hours of operation, the number of fixtures, the number of lamps per fixture, and that can get a little tricky, so remember that number of fixtures and the number of lamps in a fixture are two different things. We need to know the lamp type or technology and what the wattage is for both the existing and for the new. So we need all that information for both the existing system and for the new system. Also, if you have any information about controls, anything like sensors, or anything that works to alter the amount of time that lights are on, please let us know that. That's a way for people to save energy these days, and lighting controls are going to be a big deal going forward, we think. So go ahead and let us know as much about the project as you possibly can. There are a few things that we don't want you to do when you're giving us an audit, and that is to provide too little info. I once got an audit from somebody that said, hey, we've got some lights that we want to replace with LEDs. What would your rebate be for that? That's not going to do it for us. We need a lot more information, as we just went over. But on the flip side of that, we don't want audits with too much information. We don't need story time audits, as I like to call them. These are 3-page emails where the actual project information is buried deep within page number 3. If we have to go through all of that to figure out exactly what the projects are, that's going to delay us getting reports back to you, and therefore you won't be able to get them quickly to your customers. Quickly, I want to go over a few things that we can't and we won't provide rebates on. Any project that increases the overall energy use, we're not going to give rebates on. Any exterior lighting that's not linked to the property, that means things like street lights, anything that isn't linked to the meter at the actual property. LED to LED conversions, we do not provide rebates on usually. The technology is too new and savings will be so small that it's not really worth the trouble. We'll look at this on a case-by-case basis only currently, but usually we won't go ahead and rebate that. Incandescent to CFL conversions we don't do anymore. LEDs are just that much better than CFL. CFLs were great, but they're starting to go the way of the dodo, so we don't provide rebates on those anymore. And lastly, non-quality products. We don't require products to be Energy Star rated, but we do like them to be DLC or UL listed at least. We ask that they also at least have a 3-year warranty, or that your company will warranty them for that long. We do try and verify each product that is invoiced and that is installed, so if we can't find any information about a product or you can't provide us with some, we also won't rebate those either. We don't want to give money for a product that's going to fail pretty soon after it's been installed. So the way I like to say it is, if you are driving up to Duluth and buying product out of the back of some guy's van down by the docks, we're not going to give you rebates for that. We want products that we know are going to last and are going to be a good deal for your customers. Okay, so now you've gone ahead and given us an audit and we've entered it into our system. So what do you get back from us? You get a customer report to give to the customer. It provides some project info, but most importantly, it provides the rebate information. You get a contractor report for you, which gives a lot more detail and technical explanation about each project. You get directions to send a project through Xcel Energy's other rebate programs if they are better. I mean, look, we're ultimately here to do what's best for the customer. So if we find out that going through another rebate program is actually going to be better for the customer, we're going to go ahead and let you know to do that. Easy updates to reports. We understand things change during projects. You put up one fixture and it doesn't work out, or you can't actually order it, so you have to install something different. We understand that things change on the job, so when things do go ahead and change, please let us know as soon as you can. What we'll do is we'll run the reports again with the new information and send those out so that everybody, yourself and also the customer, has the most current and accurate rebate information. Waiting until the end to tell us about any changes might adversely affect the rebate. It might actually make it go down, and ergo, it's going to adversely affect the customer. So I just want to quickly go over this document flowchart so you can see that once we get the audit, what happens is it helps generate the customer and contractor report. What I want to point out in this is that inside the customer report is a customer participation agreement. That is one of two documents that we need to get a customer signature on. That lets us know that the customer is on board and everything, and more importantly, it tells us to hold on to those rebate funds for the project. So it's really important to get us a customer participation agreement. And once the install is complete, everything is in, it's all running properly, and the customer is happy, we need to get an invoice from you, and I'll be going over what needs to be on that invoice here in just a few minutes. And after we get the invoice, we will generate and send out a rebate application. This is the second document that we need to get a signature on from the customer. If we don't get a signed rebate app, we don't release any of the rebate funds. So there are two documents here that require the customer signature. One is the participation agreement, and the other is the rebate application. So here's another quick little video which details the kind of information we need to have on an invoice. We can send you a template that you can use to fill out. And that's what this video is actually talking about. You can send us your own invoices, but we need to have the information that is spelled out in this video. Excel requires that invoices be delivered in this way because this is part of the packet that we give to them, like I said before. So if we don't get something formatted like this, we'll ask you for a correction or to change something on it. If we don't get an acceptably formatted invoice, then we won't actually be providing the rebate. So it's really important to give us all the information that we need on the invoice. So go ahead and take a look. In this training, you'll learn how to fill out a OneStop Efficiency Shop invoice. First, you'll want to start by filling out your company name and information here. After that, you can choose to save this invoice as a template by clicking this button. You will need to update the invoice number each time you make a new one. The date will auto-populate to the current date. Next, you'll want to fill out the address where the project was installed. Please note that the installation address and the billing address for your customer may not be the same, and we'll need both. If they are the same, you can click this button and the address will auto-populate for you. After that, you will want to fill out the information about the materials used. In this section, you will need to fill out the quantity of each item, provide the manufacturer name, the part number, and a description of the item. After that, you can provide a unit cost for each item. As you can see, the invoice automatically figures out the total price for the materials for you. However, if you don't want to fill out the unit costs, you can manually enter in a lump sum material subtotal. But keep in mind that if you do enter it manually, you will delete the function that auto-figures the subtotal for you. So you will need to enter totals manually from that time after. I've gone ahead and filled out a few other lines so that you can see how the totals from each entry total up at the bottom in the subtotal material box. As you can see here, this is also where you will enter your total labor charges. This is a figure you will always enter manually. If you need to add more invoice lines, you can do so by pressing this button here. If you have other totals that you are including, you can open up a box to enter them by clicking these buttons on the right. You can add sales tax, recycling, shipping, permit fees, fees for lifts, and other charges not listed. Each of these boxes will need you to manually enter the totals. If you've entered a total you decide not to include, you can click the button to hide a specific total and the box containing that total will disappear. If you hide any of these boxes, the amount you entered into it will be subtracted from the grand total below. So please, make sure to double check that all the charges you wish to include are visible. If you have any other information you think we should know, you can fill out the comments section here. If you have any questions about filling out or submitting an invoice, please don't hesitate to contact any OneStop staff member. Thank you for participating in this training. Okay, so once we get the invoice back and if everything looks good, what we do is we generate the rebate application. We send it out to the customer to get their signature. I also want to let you know is that we do random on-site inspections. We are required as part of our agreement to inspect 10% of all of the projects that we rebate on. So we will be sending out people to just double check that everything was installed, that the customer is satisfied with everything, and that the counts are correct. Can take anywhere between 4 to 8 weeks, usually more like 2 to 6 weeks for the checks to go ahead and go out. But sometimes we do run into delays, especially towards our end of year deadline when we have to turn everything into Xcel Energy. Then you're probably looking at more the 4 to 8 week range for checks to go out. If we don't get everything by our end of year deadline date, which we will tell you a few months before the end of the year shows up, then the rebates will still go out, but they'll just go out after the first of the year. We can't guarantee them before the 31st of December. Just want to show you quick the first page of the rebate application and point out to you that you can actually arrange to accept the rebate instead of having the customer do it if that will help you sell your job. So you can go ahead and let the customer know that the rebate can be sent directly to you so that you can maybe knock that off as part of your final price in the first place. We'll just need to verify that with the customer and make sure that they agreed to everything. Now I'm going to quickly show you that we also have financing available for customers who might still not think that they have enough money to cover the cost of an upgrade. This can sometimes be the final deciding factor on whether or not they move forward with something. You can see that we have some very competitive loans out there. 3.9 fixed interest rate is not a bad deal whatsoever. And we also have a 6% fixed interest rate too. Those are for-profit companies. Want to mention that we do also have a 0% loan that is for nonprofits only. They have to be 501c3s. One thing to also let you know about is that these financing options are available to you even if your customer is not an Xcel Energy customer. We have our own loan funds and our own loan department, so even if a business is outside of Xcel's territory, they can still get financing for their job, even if they don't use OneStop as their rebate program. So that's just something to keep in mind in case you're trying to sell a job to somebody outside of Xcel's territory. All right, here we're going to start wrapping things up. The things that we hope that you take away from this is that we at OneStop can provide substantial rebates, often higher for many kinds of projects. Also, we still have T12 rebates out there. Again, not a lot of rebate programs still do that, but we do. We provide you guidance throughout the entire project process and also the rebate process. We handle all of the paperwork for you so that you don't have to sit down and take a lot of time filling things out. And also we have financing options available. One quick thing that we are just starting up here, we started doing HVAC rebates in 2017. We're starting to ramp up this program, so if your customers ask you about it or if you overhear them talking about it, you can actually steer them our way and we can start talking to them about rebates to upgrade their HVAC system. All right, and that does it. So I hope everybody got some useful information out of this webinar. And just to let you know that the documents can be found in our Dropbox folder. Here is the URL. So thank you again for tuning into this webinar. I hope everybody has a good day. Thank you very much.